Hello and welcome to the Con Couple. I'm Richard.
I'm annoyed we keep going to nice conventions. It's really not helping with the content.
You mean because you want to have us go to like a disaster con that's awful so we can go viral?
I don't actually want that. Because part of the problem is we would feel obligated to cover that convention ethically and not place the blame unfairly on other parties. And a lot of times when conventions go wrong, it's either because first year convention staff don't know what they're doing, and unfortunately that's just a situation where people sometimes get in over their heads, or it's generally money cash grabbing corporate people.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Neither.
Shaming people on the internet is not a fun pastime, so at least not for me.
Yeah, but for the record, nothing went particularly wrong this weekend. This was a very good con.
Yeah, I said I was annoyed the convention was so nice.
Yeah.
It was.
Also, are you going to bother introducing yourself or not?
I'm Caroline.
Thank you. And we go to far too many cons every year.
I would say we go to too few.
Thank you. I love the fact we came up with like an actual intro, and every week you mess it up just because you can.
Sometimes I don't, to surprise you. You mess up the outro every week. We like end 6 times.
Yeah, well, that's because we don't actually. I never bothered writing an outro.
I say an outro is more important than an intro.
No. Not based on the listening metrics. Anywho, so where were we this week?
Tsubasacon.
Tsubasacon.
Multiple people have asked me what Tsubasa means. I don't know.
Yeah,
I can look it up right now. I meant to do that all week and I forgot.
We are professionals, ladies and gentlemen.
All
Actually,
right.
that's a lie. We don't get paid for this.
Okay, so tell them about Tsubasacon while I look up fun facts.
Certainly. So Tsubasacon is an anime con in West Virginia that's been going for quite a while now. We met multiple people there who've been going for like 15 plus years.
It has been going since 2004.
Yeah. So slightly more than 20 years, which is a pretty good run for any convention. So I'm very pleased to say it's a good con. It's got very good vibes.
The convention's names, I do appreciate this, they have a Wikipedia page. The convention's name blends the words Tsubasa, Japanese for wings, and convention. I do appreciate that they're explaining what con is doing in the sentence. So Tsubasa apparently means wings.
Cool. Yeah, our knowledge of Japanese is non-existent.
So I can't find exact attendance numbers. Some cons are going to keep track of this, some aren't. The one I can find for certain is in 2012 they had about 1,500 attendees.
Yeah.
Which seems about right.
Yeah, my guess is they're probably anywhere between that and like 2,500.
It's a bigger space, so it's a little bit harder to see all of it at once.
Yeah. But yeah.
So this is held in Charleston, West Virginia. I think you said that.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about the convention center?
Sure. So the convention center itself is, I can't for the life of me remember what it's called. It might just be called the Charleston Convention Center.
It's called the Charleston Coliseum and Convention Center.
Thank you. It's a pretty decent convention center. Not our favorite, but solid, functional.
Right. For the size of this con, it is an excellent convention center.
Yeah. Like, I'm actually, given the number of attendees they have, I'm actually a little surprised they can afford it, but they also don't rent the whole thing, and, like, yeah. And I get the impression they've been here for a long time, so I suspect they have, probably a reasonable deal, relatively speaking. But the space itself is basically broken up into an upstairs area and a downstairs area. So the downstairs area has main events, the board game, the gaming space, and the vendors hall, along with registration. And the upstairs space has their quote-unquote mini-main events, their sub-main events, and then their 3 panel rooms.
And I will say a lot of cons of this particular size in less populous cities tend to be held in places with not great bathrooms or HVAC systems. This one has amazing both. Like, great HVAC system, you're going to be perfectly comfortable indoors all weekend, maybe a little hot or cold depending on your temperature preference.
It was a little chilly at a couple of points this weekend, but like not bad.
But not because the air conditioning wasn't working or the heating wasn't working. Just because no one's going to be the perfect temperature all weekend.
Yeah.
And the bathrooms are like, just standard bathrooms you would find in a convention center. It's really nice. This is a very nice space.
Yes.
Like, generally for the area, I think.
Yeah, it is. In terms of the drive for us on this one's about a 2-hour drive, and because we're idiots, we've been doing it as a back and forth.
This is our second year attending this one.
Yep.
So we did go last year.
Yep. And it's also worth noting that this event space actually has pretty good parking. It has its own parking garage that's not stupidly overpriced. It's $5 a day event parking.
Yes.
Thank you.
It is fairly easy to also get parking around the convention center for free. Locals know the tips and tricks to that, though, and I don't feel comfortable saying them on the podcast because I don't want to ruin them for the locals.
Cool. Do you actually know what they are?
Yes, I'll tell you when we're off air.
Oh, okay, cool. But yeah, so it is, very much it's a solid, very functional, quite nice convention space. Like, I like it. It's no Columbus Convention Center, but what is?
Yeah, it's definitely a nice space. It works well for what it was. I do think there was a comedy show one night in like the other half of the convention center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was on Saturday night, but again, like, those two things did not interfere with each other in any way, other than the fact we were leaving at about the same time they were. So there was like,
and everyone was perfectly polite. It was way better than that time. There was like a music concert that was outside, and people drunkenly thought we had gotten married because we were doing Phantom and Christine. This was not this con, by the way.
Yeah, that was a different convention.
Yeah, and it wasn't their fault. The convention was upset that they scheduled those events at the same time, and they did a lot of work in making sure that only the attendees were actually allowed into the venue. So.
Yes, which, thank you for that, Tsubasacon.
Yes.
But, so, generally speaking, solid, workable space. The only, like, mildly annoying thing is that their staircases have some of those, like, anti-slip things at the edge.
Which, if you're wearing long dresses, which I typically do, those can catch on the fabric and hurt the fabric, so we have to lift the dresses on the stairs.
Yeah, but that's, like, a very minor problem.
It did damage one of my hoop skirts slightly. Like, again, it's our fault for not lifting it, so. Yeah. And it's a very minor personalized stuff.
Yeah. And again, like, your hoop skirts are not particularly expensive.
But this is a great venue. I hope they keep using it.
Yes, I would agree.
It's also quite pretty. It's right next to the river.
Yep.
So you can see and just people watch, and it has a lot of, like, places to kind of be at.
Yeah. Tragic lack of ducks on the river, though.
Yeah. Clearly that's on the convention.
Yeah. Yes, and as a result, this convention was terrible. No, I'm kidding. Like, again, we have a soft spot for waterfowl. Like, if there's a river, we like to see if there are some on it, but again.
But you can sit down there and people watch. There's a lot of open spaces that you can kind of run around. And it's a pretty decent spot overall.
Yes.
We were also commenting, just because sometimes we do talk about the demographics of conventions, that for an anime con, this one does seem to skew a little older. Like closer to our age, which is vaguely 30s-ish, for anyone who's wondered that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the crowd seems to be then some people who are our age who have kids.
Some who are slightly older, who also have kids.
Some teenagers are running around too, but it does seem to have an older crowd than you would see at a lot of anime conventions.
Yes, which I think might explain part of why it has such a chill atmosphere, relatively speaking.
And I will say also, just because we were at a lot of panels where people were saying how many years they'd gone to Tsubasacon, you definitely have some lifers who've been here for quite a while, for whom I'm sure this is their favorite convention, and I can see why.
My favorite was the small child who described this as their 12th Tsubasacon, which means they've probably been coming since they were a baby.
Yep. I think one of the kids here last year actually said that the first Tsubasacon was before they were born.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
But what I also found interesting, we heard a lot of people this weekend say that this was their second Tsubasacon like ours. So I think they might have picked up some numbers last year, because I do think last year and the year before is when we really saw the post-convention boom, which we were a part of.
Yes.
Where people started going to cons more as the pandemic restrictions finally fully lifted.
Yeah.
Like 2022 still had a few restrictions in place, and people kind of getting back to it. By 2023, 2024, I think stuff was a lot more in swing.
I certainly remember the first con we went to still had a masking requirement.
They were one of the last to get rid of the masking requirements. And for the record, we are perfectly pro-mask mandate when it makes sense.
Yes.
And when it makes sense is whenever an organization decides that that's what's best for everyone's safety.
Yep.
And we also don't begrudge anyone who needs to wear a mask for any reason.
No.
Like, at a few conventions, we've worn masks just because we were feeling slightly ill and didn't want to get anyone else sick.
Yep, we've done that once or twice before.
Generally when we're at tables with people, just so we don't get them sick. I did it at, I think, Origins 2 years ago, because I had a sinus infection, which is not contagious, but I just didn't want to gross anyone out.
Yeah, so you figured it was better to mask up and basically say, look, it's a sinus infection. You're not going to get it, but because that was after you had a bad allergy attack.
I had a bad allergy effect, and just stuff in my body irritated other places in my body. It was just kind of the snowball effect. But allergy attacks aren't contagious to anyone, and I was extremely confident that was what it was. I even took a COVID test just to be safe.
Yeah. But so generally speaking, it's Tsubasacon has a very nice space and just a very chill vibe generally.
It's a fairly easygoing con. It has a lot of the things that we like, which is game shows, which we'll talk a lot about.
Yep.
A cosplay contest that we heard went pretty well this year. We didn't attend.
Yep.
And a lot of costuming, a lot of chill vibes, a lot of people hanging out, a lot of people taking pictures, a lot of people getting to know people, pretty much all the things we love about anime cons. And
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like exclusionatory anime. At some anime cons we've been to, it really feels like you have to have everyone else's level of knowledge to participate. Whereas at this con, everyone's just kind of happy that you want to talk to them.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
I would agree. The one thing I will say about this venue is food options are limited to non-existent. There is a small concession stand downstairs with extremely overpriced snacks. Basically, is what you're looking at. Like, it is the $5 for a bottle of soda, $4 for a bottle of water, and then it's basically popcorn and like pretzel-y kind of stuff like
The
it.
convention center does allow, and there's no bag check or anything, so you can bring in outside food and beverages, and I saw a lot of people doing that this weekend. I know officially the convention center doesn't allow them, but Tsubasacon does not seem to care, which I think is good.
So yeah, it's one of those things that I very much options limited. So we've been hitting the fast food place on the way home the last couple of days. We're probably not going to bother doing that today because we'll get home.
We could Taco Bell again. We'll see. Yeah, it's also, I will say, this drive just in between, because it's about a 2-hour drive back and forth, just because we're going straight down from West Virginia. It's pretty much middle of nowhere between there and here.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that is a disparaging remark, because we live in the middle of nowhere, but
there's just not a lot off this particular highway. And there's also a bunch of roadworks on it at the moment, which haven't been a problem in any way. They've just been kind of annoying.
Not on the con, obviously.
Yeah. We're currently in a stream of traffic doing 55 because we're going through single lane roadworks, whereas we should be doing 70. It's mildly annoying stuff that you talk about when you record a podcast in your car. Incidentally, for anybody who's listening to this for the first time, we record this in our car. We use hands-free lapel mics so that we do not violate any local ordinances.
You heard me looking up information earlier. I am obviously not the one driving.
Correct.
So we're keeping with all the state laws. And this is just a conversation we would be having anyway, because I think we mentioned to a couple people, the reason this weekend, the reason we started this podcast is because
we wanted a journaling device.
Yeah, basically. It's hard to remember what you do on Friday at a con on Sunday, so it's basically us doing it.
Yep.
And now that we've posted it on YouTube, I don't actually have to listen to the sound of my own voice to get the information anymore, because it transcribes everything, so I can just look through and see what we've done, which is kind of cool.
But yeah, so incidentally, if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe, and do all of those YouTube pleasantries.
We just like making the button at the bottom light up.
Yeah, supposedly it does that. I haven't actually bothered watching an episode through to check if it does that properly.
We've done so much waffling this episode.
Yeah, that's about average. So, we ready to start talking about what we did at this convention?
Yeah, so we'll start going in chronological order.
Yep. So, we got here. Parking was really easy and straightforward.
So we did take a half day off work. Well, you did.
Yeah, I did.
I was supposed to cancel class for my afternoon class, so that worked out.
Yeah, yeah, because there was a job connections fair thing on campus.
Yeah, they wanted students to go to this career connections conference that they held homecoming weekend, so the alumni would come and give the students jobs, which was actually smart.
Yeah.
But the students don't actually understand that they should just go because alumni will just give them jobs.
Yep.
I've tried to emphasize that to them. Most jobs are gotten just because somebody knows somebody, so they should go to that.
That's how I got mine.
Yep. That's how most jobs work.
Yep.
But they don't seem to understand that, even though it's one of the smartest things they could do. So
yeah,
I tried to encourage them a little bit.
But yeah, so I took a half day, so we left work at one-ish?
One-ish. We did have to change, so we did our low maintenance costume of Hades and Persephone.
Yeah, which again, if you've not seen us before, if you're either the thumbnail for this video or just the background on the video is that's us dressed as Hades and Persephone, drawn by a wonderful artist. So our low maintenance, easy to do costume involves you in a hoop skirt, because of course it does. But yeah, so we can get into that and ready in 15 minutes?
Yeah, I think we did it in 15 minutes, and that was with rushing and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, and there are certain parts of it we leave until the end. We just put the wig in the car and you don't put the wig on until you get there. Mm-hmm. But other than that, it's a pretty easy one.
Easy. Drive was perfectly fine. Weather has been a bit colder, but other than that, perfectly fine.
Yep.
We got down here. I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast before, but sometimes before I go to a con, I think for me the period of anxiety is trying to find parking, and then right before registration is when my anxiety is at its height.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of weird anticipatory yes that you experience.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, sometimes we've had cons before that handle their reg lines really, really badly, and you end up waiting for a very long time.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that's less of an issue if you get there at kind of a random, less busy time, which, again, if you're taking a half day off work and then driving down, you're probably not going to be there, like, right when reg line opens or anything like that.
We missed opening ceremonies and got there kind of as opening ceremonies were going on, so we didn't think this was going to be a popular time. Sometimes we guess wrong, as you guys have seen before, but it wasn't. So we got down, we got parking. It was $5.
Yep.
I think they took card, but we had cash.
They didn't take card last year, so I don't think they do.
Yeah. They do have solutions if you don't happen to have cash.
Yeah.
So.
But again, I had cash. Yeah, fortunately, they had change for a 20.
Yep. So we got in there, we parked. It wasn't terribly crowded at that point.
Yeah.
We went in, did registration.
Yep. Registration, pretty straightforward. Yeah, this one uses Aventi, so...
We did have to, they paused, I want to emphasize it was like us and one other person in registration line. They paused registration so they could take a group picture with the people who were ahead of us in line who had really cool costumes that people were excited about.
Yep.
I'm not at all upset about that. It was adorable. Like, it wasn't an actual wait anyway. It was just kind of adorable to watch.
Yeah.
It was so cute.
Yep. And then, so while we had QR codes, they didn't end up scanning them. They typed in the confirmation number that was sent with the thing, which is fine. Like, whatever method works.
Mm-hmm.
Got our badges, nice and simple and straightforward. I think by the looks of it, they were doing the thing that a lot of these cons do, which is 3 days we're getting badges and 1 day we're getting wristbands.
Yep.
That's fine.
And they had fancier lanyards you could buy. That's pretty standard. They were $5 if you wanted them. We just got the standard lanyards that were also fine.
Yep. We have a lot of lanyards.
And badge checking at this con, as we've talked about, it varies a lot how much your badge is actually checked. And we talk about that because we tend to like generally lower security cons. That said, we don't support con ghosting or going to a con without paying for a ticket.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to one of the areas that the con offers for free to everyone. Some cons offer that.
Yep.
For this con, everything was pretty much required you to have a badge. And they, I think, checked outside the dealer's hall, gaming area, and outside the panel rooms.
Yep.
In the section that the panel rooms were, not each individual panel room.
I'm not even sure if they were, like...
There was an information booth there. I'm not sure if they were actually checking or not.
Yeah, I think they were nominally supposed to be. The level to which they were or not, I'm unclear on. Which
I don't want to call out the volunteers, though.
No,
I don't even know if they were supposed to be.
Yeah, like, again, it's mostly a case of every time we walked past it, I would, like, vaguely flash my badge at them. And it's mostly a case of I don't know if I actually needed to bother doing that. But, like, again, that's fine. Because I did end up going to that information booth at one point, which I'll talk about when we get to
in like
today.
2 seconds. So
no, that was Sunday.
Okay. Oh yeah. Well, we did go there to pick up a schedule.
This is true. We did grab a schedule there.
Yeah, but registration did take. I mean, it was a little bit clunky. I would say it's
a little bit. Like,
not,
could have been smoother, but not bad.
There was no one else in line, so it didn't really take any time at all.
Yeah.
They also asked to like check to make sure our information was accurate, but that information wasn't actually used for anything, so I was a bit confused as to why they were asking
My
that.
guess is they're collecting data metrics. They're probably trying to figure out like what the average age of their attendees is and that kind of stuff.
Which I don't blame them for doing.
No, that's absolutely fine.
And they did have a couple plus 18 events. We didn't attend any of them. I don't know if you had to show your ID at them. I suspect you would, just because the badges didn't indicate that you were plus 18.
Yeah.
And I didn't see any special badge for people who were under 18.
So. No, they didn't. They didn't ID check us on the way in. So, I remember us going to a plus 18 event last year. I can't remember what it was, but I remember us doing it, and they did ID check.
Yes.
That one. So I'm gonna assume they were ID checking this weekend.
Yeah. For the record, I'm not accusing them of not ID checking.
We just didn't. We didn't attend any events that required an ID check, so we can't guarantee it was done.
And it's also, it's just more, some other cons have different ways of doing ID checks, so you put in your birthday to begin with, and then they give your con like a different type of badge or something like that if you're over 18, and typically they'll just ID check you when you pick up your badge.
Yeah.
We did also notice that this con also had a lot of people who just bought tickets at the door in comparison to other cons.
Yes, I did. Which, again, not a problem. Like,
they had 2 lines registration set up for it.
Yeah, one for pre-reg, one for buying at the door. Absolutely fine. They actually even had the entrance doors labeled with buying or picking up tickets. Go through these doors. Re-entering the con, having already got your badge, go through these doors. Which I think was just an attempt to smooth everything out. Again, not a problem. Worked fine.
And we were not at registration anytime when it was crowded, except for one time for you, which we'll talk about when we get there.
Talk about when we get there.
So.
Yeah, so again, registration, perfectly fine, perfectly functional. Like, not the most efficient we've ever seen, but like in no way bad.
Yeah. So we pretty much immediately after that headed upstairs.
Yep.
We walked past, there was a little place with ring lights where people could get their photos taken that was pretty popular all weekend, which was cute.
Yep. Yeah, so went upstairs, grabbed ourselves a paper copy of the schedule from the information
interestingly
desk.
Wasn't at the registration, it was up there, which is fine. Anybody who's interested in panels would go to both of those places for it.
Yeah.
And we just appreciate that they have a paper schedule.
Yes, I always appreciate one of the girls. They did warn us when we picked it up that it wasn't 100% accurate because it was printed a couple of weeks ago and some stuff got moved around and changed. So they basically said, if you want the most up-to-date version, check Eventney. Again, perfectly fine. I hate Eventney. It's not good on mobile devices.
And it's hard to even save things. You can even pull it up. You basically have to type in the con you're going to every weekend. And I had tickets for that con on the app, so you think it would show me the schedule automatically because I bought tickets. It doesn't let me do that.
Yeah.
This is not on the con. It's free. And there's not a lot of other free online schedule apps you can use.
Yeah, basically, Eventney is, generally speaking, functional, and not much more than that. And that's okay. Like,
I get that you need to have a digital schedule, particularly because you can't reprint a paper schedule.
Yeah.
We just like having both because it's fun to look at a paper schedule. Because a paper schedule we can also look at with each other and point at things, and it's quite nice. And
in a way that's kind of hard to do on a phone.
Yes.
Speaking of the paper schedule, it should be back there
I can grab it.
Yeah, if you can grab it.
Okay. I think this is it. Yep.
Cool. Yes, so...
We did want to get there early, particularly to see Greggo's Pointless, which is a show... for the record, he didn't do it just because of us, but it's a show that we've seen before and pitched to him. So you want to explain who Greggo is and why they're awesome?
Greggo is somebody that we've actually mentioned a few times on this podcast, who does game shows. I will put links to his YouTube stuff and things in the show notes. And he's been doing game shows at conventions for 25 years now, based on what he said today. And he's very, very good at it. Like, we've seen a lot of game show panels at a lot of cons. Greggo is probably the best that we've seen, I think, insofar as he tries to mimic the style of the actual show's host, and he makes his own software to replicate what goes on the various game shows.
And most other people who do game shows at cons, particularly anime cons, have a relationship with him. I remember him telling him this weekend about how he was going to divide who's going to do what con with another game show host, which is awesome. So. He very much, he's been in the industry, he said, 25 years at this point, which is amazing that he's been doing cons.
It's a little terrifying, but
longer than half the people who go to cons have been alive.
Yep. But yeah, so specifically last year, we mentioned to him that Pointless would be a really good show for a convention like this. And he said he knows he wanted to do it. It was going to be a lot of work to set up. So we weren't actually expecting him to do it anytime soon. And then you happen to notice that it was what he was doing on Friday at 4 o'clock at this con. And we're like, well, guess I'm taking a half day.
Yeah, I'm just okay, we have to go to this.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it with him, and we've seen him at multiple conventions. We have to go. And he was so excited when he showed up.
He was.
He was excited the second we entered the room.
Yeah.
So,
if you're not familiar with Pointless, it's a British game show that sort of, if you've ever seen Family Feud, think similar concept but backwards. So 100 people have been surveyed, and this is the reason why it's one that requires a lot of work to set up. 100 people have been surveyed with the answers to the questions, and your goal is to find the most obscure answer at any point. So for example, one of the we actually managed to, we volunteered to be on this one. We and won the chance to be on because Greggo likes to do random choice to determine who's going to be on his shows, using a couple of different methods. And for this particular one, the first question was on Pokemon dual typing. So it was, you're basically trying to name a dual type of Pokemon that had, I think it was at least 7 Pokemon that have that dual typing. And then it's a case of, okay, which is the one that people thought of and which is the one that as few people as possible thought of, with the ultimate goal being to find a pointless answer that nobody got. So, again, family, Same basic principle as Family Feud, but in the other direction. You're looking for the least common answer, not the most common.
Yeah. And it is a game that is very fun to play just because I think this one in particular really gets into nerd culture because nerds love being the only person in a room who knows a fact.
Yep.
So this game plays on that in the best possible way for a console. It's a lot of work to put together because Greggo had to actually survey 100 people to ask them the questions.
Yep.
Which takes a lot of time to do.
Yep. Incidentally, if you are listening to this and think that sounds vaguely fun, I believe the survey for next year's convention or next year's conventions is going to be up on his website if you want to go fill that in.
Just think about how awesome it would be when somebody guesses an answer and only one person said that and you're in the audience and you know that one person was you.
Yeah.
You could have that feeling.
Yeah, we filled out his survey questions over the course of the weekend, and there was one particular one on, I cannot for the life of me remember what the question is off the top of my head. Oh yeah, it was one of the video game questions.
Yeah, don't say what it is.
I'm not going to give the answer. I'm just going to say there was one that he thought had a pretty good chance of being pointless, and it was like,
of course you knew it.
And I knew it. That is like,
yeah.
So there's a non-zero chance that one's going to have 1 point on it next year, and if it is, you're welcome.
And for reference, like Greggo's game shows, we tend to be randomly good at. I'm fairly good at game mechanics, and you're good at video game questions that aren't Nintendo.
Yes, yeah, my Nintendo knowledge is lacking, which does mean that at Anime Con that like a lot of the video game questions lean Japanese. So there's a lot of Capcom, there's a lot of Nintendo, there's a lot of that kind of stuff, which I'm less good at, I freely admit. But again, we went up there and we had fun.
We did. So yeah, that's our pitch for Greggo's game shows, and generally when we tend to play, I think we do pretty mid, just because some of it's luck and some of it's just like we just don't know anime. All the questions are anime. I really want to know if he goes to other cons that just don't do anime, because other types of questions I would be good at. So, and you would definitely be good at. So
yeah, again, we do a lot of art trivia, so we know a lot of like random bits
facts. Again, this is not a criticism; it should be targeted at anime. And something we've commented about before is it's really hard, particularly to write anime questions that are the right level, because anime is a very pulpy genre, so everyone's kind of seen what they've seen and they've just not seen other stuff.
Yep.
It's like writing questions about romance books. Might be 1 or 2 or 3 that everyone's seen, but for the most part, or read, it's hard to do. Greggo, I think, strikes that balance extremely well.
He does. He's better at striking that balance than a lot of people are. You know, like again, that Pokemon typing question, there was one group that entered the 200 club, which on Pointless, if you get the answer wrong, you automatically get 100 points. So if both parts of the pair playing, because you play in pairs, get a wrong answer, you're entering what's known as the 200 club, where you had 200 points. We entered that on round 2.
We did, with anime opening themes.
Yep.
Because I didn't know what any of them were and you didn't. Which is honestly better, because you would have felt bad if I did know one.
Yeah.
But anime opening themes is just not something I know. So, and if you didn't play Pokemon, typings wouldn't be something you know.
Exactly.
So, and sometimes that luck of the draw happens on the actual TV show too. It's just not a category you know.
Yep. So happens fairly frequently, actually. And every so often there's a category that, on the, I remember watching an episode of Pointless where the final question was about characters in Star Wars.
We should also probably mention, because I don't think we did, that Pointless is a game you play in pairs.
Yes. I did mention that.
Okay, sorry.
But yeah, I remember watching an actual episode of the show where the final question was about, characters in Star Wars. And, obviously when you're at home, you play along. I listed 3 super obscure ones. And, Poe Dameron, I think it was one of the Pointless answers. And it's just like, yeah, everybody apart from list, the 5 most obvious ones was Pointless. I'm like, who did you survey?
And it also does amuse me that for whatever reason when we go to these events, everyone thinks that you're the game show nerd, not me.
Mm-hmm.
To be a stereotype or something. The reason we go is because I'm a game show nerd.
Oh, that's the thing. I very much enjoy watching game shows from the audience.
I know more British game shows than you do.
You do. You actually do. The thing is, by the time I was old enough to appreciate game shows, they were past their prime heyday boom. Mm. So a lot of the older ones I don't know as well.
I think a lot of it was during America at the time I grew up. A lot of daytime TV was game shows. There was Game Show Network, which played a lot of both modern and old game shows, just in reruns constantly. And Because, as some of you know, I had a difficult childhood. I watched a lot of those growing up, and they were just kind of a fun kind of escapism that I kind of enjoy. And I love having them at cons because I would never want to be on an actual game show in real life. I don't want the pressure of like trying to figure out if I'm going to win $1 million or not. That's not something I need in my life. Whereas if you're doing it for like stuffed animals or $20 at a con, that's like a lot lower stakes and it just makes it a lot more fun.
Yes. But yeah, so again, a lot of game shows this weekend, which again, like that's, I'm going to be honest, like the entire reason we went to Tsubasacon last year, which was the first time, was because we'd been to Greggo's stuff at Con Elite,
which is in Chicago. I'm debating going back this year primarily again for Greggo's game shows, but Chicago's a big ask for us.
Yeah, Chicago's like a 7-hour drive.
And it's Chicago.
It's Chicago.
Like other cities are easier than Chicago. Chicago is densely urban, even more so than, or like not more so than New York, but similar to New York. If anyone somehow in the United States does not know how cities work.
Yeah, which means getting around, it's a bit of a pain.
It's a pain. The
last
time we went there,
is a bit tricky.
The Airbnb host we have refused to turn on the heat in December for our Airbnb. First, the Airbnb was like $100 in Chicago, and we probably should have expected that.
Yeah.
But you know,
he actively asked us to unplug the microwave when we left to save the electricity of like a microwave that wasn't switched on, it was just plugged in.
Also, because it was Chicago, we had to park 2 blocks away from the house and carry multiple costumes up.
Yep. So
yeah.
We'll Con Elite is very much on the we'll see.
Also, parking there, I think, was like $20.
Yeah, like that was if you validated.
Yeah.
It was like 40 something if you did.
If you did not get it validated, you had to pay like $45.
Yeah. And at least the con was, could validate your parking, but even so,
this is not a Con Elite review podcast.
It's not. But yeah, so again, the reason we went to Tsubasacon last year was we knew that Greggo was going to be there. And the reason we went back this year was partly because we had a good time last year, but again, partially because we knew he was going to be there. And like, we really like the way he does game shows.
Plus, we did run into Bridget and James there last year as we were kind of bonding or starting the beginnings of our, we just run into each other at all the cons.
Yep.
Friendship that we hopefully now have.
Yep. Yeah, so we knew they were also going to be here this weekend.
Yeah, we knew they were only going to be here Saturday, though.
Yeah.
That is Pop Culture Choreography and Wetlands Ninja to plug their handles too, although they said we can just use their names.
Yes. So yeah.
So we did that. It was super fun. We got out in the second round because that was anime openings.
Yep.
Then 2 couples remained. One couple had literally met outside before the panel.
Yep.
Just paired up because they wanted to play the game.
Yep.
And they wound up winning, and they won the jackpot too.
Yeah.
Which was awesome to see.
Yeah, that was great. Good.
We had a lot of jackpot wins this weekend, which was very fun for us.
Yeah.
So.
It's always fun to watch that, especially because the way Pointless works, they basically say, is it right? And if it is, like a ticker starts going down with like the number of points it scored, like the audience all understood the assignment of the closer it gets to 0, the louder you go, ooh. Which is what it's what they do in the actual show.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. That was very, very fun.
I just want it to be known that I am the game show nerd. Everyone assumes that you're the nerd, which you are in literally every other context.
I am in quite a few contexts, not literally every other.
Name one other one.
Honey, on the drive down here, we were debating philosophy versus mathematics. It wasn't even a versus thing. It was just trying to figure out the differences in our training.
Mm-hmm. Anywho, after that, we went and walked around the vendors hall.
Yep.
Which is smaller because it is a smaller con.
Yep.
And it's, I think you mentioned, connected to the gamers hall.
Yes, so basically you can go in either side and then there's the doorway like at the back that leads from one space to the other. Because I suspect this can be just one big hall if you want it set up that way.
And I remember this con having a good plush last year, because this is where we got Paul McCowney, the cow plush that I carry around to some conventions.
Is it?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Yes, it is.
No. I thought we got Paul McCowney at OMG Con.
Maybe we did get Paul. So both of these have very similar convention centers, because I think the same person designed both of those, because they're both in like West Virginia, Kentucky area. We commented on that the convention centers look very similar between.
They do have similar vibes.
Anyway, the point is, I made myself a promise that I wasn't going to buy any more plush this weekend.
And then you bought some more plush this weekend.
Not expensive plush, though.
No, true.
But
again, like after our shenanigans last weekend, where we acquired 50-something plush in like multiple giant bags. Yeah.
Yeah, those have been sorted right now. We intend to give them away.
Yeah, we'll be giving various things away to charity and various other things. And yeah, the ones that are super popular in the furry community, we're going to put those into a furry or a charity auction at a furry con at some point. Don't know when the next furry event we're going to is, but
probably not until next year. But I already said not until next year once. We wound up going to another one, so who knows?
Who knows? So yeah. So
we walked around the vendors hall.
Yep.
It's pretty standard vendors hall. The artists kind of were scattered around the outside. I'm trying to think if there's anything of note to say about it.
Pretty standard, normal, like reasonably well laid out, I think. Like I don't have any nothing stood out to me as badly handled in that vendors hall.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I don't think there was anything that screamed like this is the best vendors hall ever. Like it was solid B+ vendors hall.
Yep. We don't tend to attend con for the vendors hall, but it seemed like they were doing well this weekend. So
yep.
It's pretty cool, pretty well laid out.
Yeah, I saw people walking around with stuff they bought. So, and then the gaming space, they had some 40K going on, which if I'd known about before, I might have contemplated bringing one of my armies down and trying to get a game, but that would have taken at least 2 hours out of our day, which you would not have been able to participate in. So, yeah. One of these days I will get to play 10th edition.
Yeah, and there's some cons where I think I would be comfortable with that. Here I probably would be if I knew in advance.
Yeah.
But I would like to know in advance.
Yes.
There's some cons where I would not be comfortable with that. We're not going to talk about that in the podcast.
Yeah. But again, but we did know that for this particular convention we had to be ready to do stuff by 6.
6, I entered a panel just kind of on a whim. I think mostly because Bridget entered a panel, and I'm like, I should enter a panel.
Yeah.
I want to emphasize my competitive whatever with Bridget isn't that I'm trying to outdo her in any way. It's more just that she inspires me in all the best possible ways to be my best self. So
yeah. So you'd submitted a panel. Now, because of the way the badge reimbursement of this one works, you needed to do at least 2 hours paneling to get a badge reimbursement.
Yes.
And we were only doing 1. So.
I decided to just do 1 just because, again, I don't generally mind paying for tickets. And also because Greggo is here, I generally didn't want to risk being scheduled opposite Greggo because I really wanted to go to all this stuff. So
yes.
Thankfully they didn't schedule me opposite Greggo. And I will say when I submitted the panel, I could block out chunks of time that I wanted to do other stuff. And they also then sent me, hey, here's a preliminary schedule. Let us know if this time slot works for you. So they put me, at 7 or 6 on Friday night, which is a pretty good time slot, I would say.
Yeah, that is based on the number of people who attended that panel, that was a decent time slot.
Yeah.
And I believe in panel room 1, which was definitely, that was the biggest panel room, not counting, okay. I want to briefly talk about, the naming of their panels.
It's a bit confusing.
Yeah, so they have main events, which is the big ballroom.
Which is downstairs.
Yep. Then they have sub-main, which is a pretty big room off to one side.
Which it holds the game show panels and
yep.
mostly game show panels all weekend.
Yep. And mini-main, which is a slightly smaller room, which is also off to the side. And then they have their 3 panel rooms, which are the smaller spaces in the middle. And again, of those, panel room 1 was the largest of the 3 panel rooms. So you weren't by any means in their biggest panel space, but you were in the biggest of the panel rooms as opposed to one of the main rooms.
Yes. So we got there was a table outside where you could just check in.
Yep.
We did about a half hour early just so we could hang out.
Yep. Specifically, we kind of walked past there, realized that the panel that was supposed to be in the room from 4 until 6 looked like it had already thrown out.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is they didn't have a particularly good turnout.
Or maybe they just didn't have the time. They might have just not taken the whole time slot. I don't know the story there.
Whatever it was, but it meant that we had time to set up,
mm-hmm.
which was good. So yeah, nice and simple. Plug in the laptop. Turn on a couple of projectors. I had to do a bit of jiggering with the projectors, nothing bad, just getting one of them into focus and all of that jazz.
And I was a bit nervous about this because this was the panel was Entering Your Villain Era, the ethics behind fandom's greatest villains, because I titled stuff like an academic paper because I'm a nerd. But this was another basic ethics lecture panel because cons seem to want more educational content and I can provide them that.
Yep.
So I'm not sure if it's what I would always want to do. I tend to like running more audience participation style panels and trying to get people on stage and stuff like that. But I feel like if I start with this, then maybe I can work my way up to doing more audience participation style stuff once they know me a bit better.
Yep. And again, we're in the wonderful world of I think educational content at cons is valuable.
I think so too, especially because PhDs are experts in their fields. Typically, to get PhD knowledge, the universities want you to pay money to get access to that knowledge. Pretty much everyone who works in higher ed thinks that that's lame. If you just email us, we'll give you whatever knowledge you want.
Yep. Yeah, the classic comment is like, yeah, so like this academic journal with this article you really need, costs like $80. If you email the guy who wrote it, they'll probably send you a free copy.
Oh, I've done that.
Yep.
I'm like, sweet, you want to read something I wrote? Absolutely. Here you go.
Yeah. Here's like, this is the original Word document I sent them. It's not fully proofed, but it should be fine for...
Yeah, that's pretty much every academic's attitude towards that.
Yeah.
But last time I gave a similar panel, this was the Pokemon panel I've given a couple times. Somebody commented about how it was literally a college lecture and was bored by it, and it was just making me kind of nervous. I do put in the description that they have everyone write that it is a college professor talking about a topic.
Yep.
So it's going to be a lecture. And a lot of people after the last panel said that they liked it a lot. So yep.
It's just
one of those things where you get one bad comment and you're freaked about it.
Yep.
But this went, I thought, really well.
Yeah. Like, people seemed interested.
People were asking questions.
Room was probably half full.
Half full, and it wasn't a small room.
Yeah.
And a couple people left early, but literally one person today came up and apologized for leaving early.
Yeah. They basically said they had to leave early, but they really enjoyed, the first half of it.
Yeah.
Which, hey, thank you for saying that. That was very nice.
That was awesome. Yeah, it was just basically, I decided to go with anime archetypes rather than talking about specific anime, just because I realized pretty quickly that I wasn't going to be able to go into detail on specific anime. So instead I talked about anime archetypes and why villains don't always seem like bad guys and why they do. So it leaned a little moral psychology in addition to moral philosophy, but people are also interested in moral psychology, and that's something I also know a little bit about. And we had a very active audience who was asking a lot of really cool questions throughout the panel. We did. You kind of had to rush through the last one purely because we'd had a lot of questions up to that point that had just kind of slowed everything down a bit. And that is not a complaint. That is very much having an engaged audience who are interested in asking questions. As an academic, that's the dream. Yeah. You don't get that when you're teaching, because when you're teaching, everyone feels forced to be there and they're tired and learning's lame and they have to take this class because it's a requirement and they don't seem to understand why it's important. No matter how interesting you try to make it, you're still struggling. Whereas at a con, everyone is volunteering to be there. Yeah. And if they decide that panel's not for them and they get up, that's fine. Also, shout out, because I did embed YouTube clips in this. The convention center does have free Wi-Fi that works reasonably well. Yeah, it's pretty decent. And not a lot of cons have that, and having that is a godsend to panelists, because it means you can actually put stuff online. Yeah. Without trying to hotspot through a phone or any of that nonsense. So, yeah, I thought this went really well. A lot of people asked some really great questions. Some people asked me some questions after the panel. Yep. PowerPoint worked reasonably well. One person did comment that the blue lighting was hard to read. I will admit I marked this up a little bit quickly because I've been a little overwhelmed at work recently. So I did kind of rush right the panel. Yeah. And again, if you decide that you want to rejigger the formatting just in terms of making it easier on the color balance, that I think is a legitimate thing for somebody to mention that we can maybe improve in the future. Yeah. But rather than naming the various archetypes I talked about, I had people from the audience shout out who was the archetype, and I think they had a lot of fun doing that. So I'm probably going to keep that. Yeah, giving people a chance to say, okay, this kind of villain, who do you think are good examples of this? And I chipped in, at kind of each one with this is kind of this sort of person. Yeah, I will admit the audience at Tsubasacon generally just tends to be great, and there's just a culture to West Virginian friendliness that you really just don't get a lot of other places in the world. That's just kind of very nice. Yeah. So I think the panel went pretty well. Oh, I have some gunk in my eye. You've been having that all day. Yeah. I think I've just got an eyelash caught behind my contact lens or something. Which again, happens sometimes and is very annoying when it does. This is not something we need to talk about. Hey, contact lenses were relevant this weekend because somebody lost one of the panelists. But yeah. So what do we do after your panel? So I needed to work off the adrenaline for a bit, so we walked around just for 5 or 6 minutes. Yeah. And I had the most amazing thing of people were still talking about my panel, in the hallway to each other after I was done. And yeah, you got a case of the happies at that point. as an educator, people still talking about the stuff that you were trying to teach them after you're done teaching it because it's that interesting is like the biggest compliment you can get.
True.
Like, I was on a very big adrenaline high.
Yep.
So we walked around for a bit. We did eventually go to, or just because I was curious, Final Conquest Yokai, which I think was the theme this year, Celebration, which was I think an interactive D&D game. We didn't stay in it terribly long.
Mm-hmm.
We were mostly just kind of curious as to what it was and needed somewhere to sit in the backup for 5 seconds.
Yep.
It seemed fine. It's just we kind of walked in late, so we couldn't really be included in the game.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly obvious what was going on, and that's not like I have zero doubt they explained what was going on. We
walked in late, so we can't really review it beyond. It seemed interesting to the people who were playing it.
Yeah, the people involved seemed to be having fun.
Yes. So instead, we went to this incredibly weird. I'm trying to find which thing it was in. Teen son of a ! From 7 to 10:30, which was a person who curated a series of incredibly weird videos that you watched, I guess YouTube poop or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then you just watched some of the videos, and then he asked you questions about the videos and gave you way too nice prizes for answering them correctly.
Yep.
So we stayed in there for about 2 hours.
Yep, just watching weird nonsense.
Yeah, which it's difficult for content like that to hold my attention at cons. This did, just because it was so weird.
Yeah, this was well-created nonsense. Well-curated nonsense.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find who was running this, because I do want to shout them out, and I did say we would if we had their information.
We've got their business card, but it is back home. Okay. It's currently sitting on the table right next to Greggo. So
we will put it in the show notes.
I will put it in the show notes.
I will see if I can find it online. You want to explain more about what this was, though, if you can.
So again, this was basically just watching a series of extremely weird videos, some of which I recognized, a lot of which I didn't. Again, I think my personal favorite of the weirdness was one that was just called 5-second movies, which was just a compilation of movies that were 5 seconds long. So they had to get across whatever nonsense they were doing in just that very brief time period. There was about 20 of them.
Yeah, the schedule's not cooperating. We'll put their name in the show notes.
Yeah. And
they were very fun, and they somehow have a budget to give away these, probably $500 worth of games, if not more.
They gave away a whole bunch of board games, a couple of small bits of blush. We didn't end up getting anything just because,
we're bad at this.
Yeah.
Plus, my attention span was kind of shot, so...
Yeah, remembering random details from weird videos was not something we were particularly great at, but yeah.
We're not part of the TikTok generation, so it's hard for us to remember, snippets of conversation that are that small. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And there was an ad for chloroforming children, so...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, what was it, Night Night something or other?
And also an incredibly weird, I think, actual ice cream company that just makes the weirdest ads I've ever seen.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was just, a joke or if that was actually real. Who knows?
Yep. It all rode that line. We watched about 2 hours of this.
Yep.
And, yeah, again, great panel to sit in the back of if you just want to kind of, have your brain laugh at funny stuff for a bit. And the host did a great job of organizing it. So.
Yeah, it was very well curated. So, yeah, so after that, I think we went down to the cosplay ball.
Cosplay prom, technically.
Yeah.
So this is a cosplay-based dance. They also had a Saturday night dance. I think the difference is that the cosplay one was an excuse to dress up a bit more, and we saw a lot of great elaborate ball gowns.
Yeah, that one was a ball, a prom, whatever you want to call it. Whereas I expect the music selection for the Saturday night one, which we didn't go to, I'm assuming was probably a little more in the EDM dance music as opposed to the Friday night one, which is a bit more waltz and
They do have a variety of things though. They played Rah Rah Rasputin last year. I have a feeling they did again this year.
I suspect so. It was a hoot last year.
Yeah, we didn't stay too late because
2 hour drive home, bunnies to look after.
So we gave ourselves a curfew of 9:30, so we won't there terribly long. But this is an excellent. We've gone to a lot of cosplay proms and balls and stuff like that. This one is very well done.
It is.
They clear out the bigger ballroom. There's still seating on the sides, which is nice. They have tables and stuff like that.
Yep.
We did ask about taking in our bag. The host said they kind of didn't want bags, but I didn't really want to ban people from keeping bags, which is kind of a soft yes. We definitely were not the person there with the biggest bag. There were multiple other bags. We did keep ours on us at all time.
Yeah, whereas other people were actively just putting their bags on the chairs and nobody was stopping them.
Again, I think it's fine. I know there's some worry about bags and bringing in drinks or illicit substances or stuff like that, but I have never seen that happen. There was some dumb rumor at MissouriCon last year that they tapped the water supply to make it alcohol, and I'm just like, guys.
Yeah,
there's no way that happened.
Yeah.
That was MissouriCon, not this con. Just so
Yeah.
I don't even badmouth them, but like, no.
Yeah, nobody's spiking like available water. Like,
I don't know that happens occasionally, but I have more faith in humanity in that. And also, they're not going to swipe, like, because they were saying the water fountains in the Columbus Convention Center were spiked with alcohol. There's no way that is even possible.
no, that did not happen. It's just a dumb rumor.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They were perfectly nice. They let everyone have bags. One of my favorite things about this prom is it's very much a dance like no one's watching prom. Where
Yeah.
everyone in there is just going nuts and dancing in the best way that they know how. From people who actually know how to dance to people who don't.
My favorite was somebody who was, I think, possibly cosplaying as like somebody from Expedition 33. Alternatively, just generic French person. Who had just like a giant baguette plush and was actively like dancing with it at one point. That was great. They dipped it.
Yep. That's a French onion dip, honestly.
Mm.
One of the classic moves.
Yep.
It was a group of, like, I would say male-coded individual friends next to us who were trying to coordinate a partner dance in the cutest way possible.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. There was a family of 2 parents and 2 kids who were like teenagers and parents who were dancing near us in a group. Like, it's so fun to people watch there.
Yeah.
They also said they were crowning a prom king and queen there this year.
Yep.
I'll admit I wanted to stay for that just because I was dressed as Persephone and I was never going to be prom queen when I was an actual teenager. But like at this point in my life, I feel like I could pull it off. I'm just saying.
But yeah, but again,
we
2
wanted
hour
to get
drive
home,
home.
and also I would rather that go to an actual teenager if we're going to be in it to anyone.
Yep. So no idea who got crowned prom king and queen.
Yeah. The songs are great. It's a great evening. Everyone's dancing around. No one judges you for your bad dancing skills. It's incredibly fun. The costumes are great. Like I love cosplay prom.
Yeah. You know, it's very fun. It's very silly. Like, yeah. So yeah. So at that point, we tapped out. We headed home. Got on the road. You know, hit Taco Bell on the way home because by the time we got home, it was the only place open.
Yeah.
Yay.
And thankfully, stuff didn't really start too early for us. There was a couple 10 a.m. panels the next day, but nothing that really interested us much.
Yeah. So we got up at Emma insisted on getting you up at like 7:30.
Yeah, and we wound up getting there around 11 after getting dressed and everything like that. And I decided to do Ariel and Prince Eric.
Yep.
There's some debate because I haven't worn that one in a while, and this is a con that has a decent chunk of kids, so I figured they would like it.
Yes.
So the first panel we went to was In Defense of Disney Villains, and we parked. Parking was about the same.
I love the fact you saw that one on the schedule while we were driving down to this con on the Friday. I was briefly concerned that you were supposed to do that one as well.
So the reason I got this idea for anime villains is because we saw a Disney villains panel at a previous con it wasn't done by a philosophy professor. It was a very different type of panel, but I'm like, I could do like In Defense of Disney Villains as a panel. And then I remember having that thought earlier when I was submitting panels and deciding to do anime instead.
Yep.
I'm like, did I also submit that one? Thankfully, I did not.
Yeah.
And also, thankfully, the person who was running it just says Team Plus, but Son of a Blank last night said that they were running this one. And I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
Just, Also because I'm glad I wasn't scheduled at the time period, even more so, because that's when I had to buy tickets for a Catacon.
Yeah. So once again, if you go to cons that use tabletop events, they will frequently open their ticket sales at a very specific time. And hilariously, this is the 2nd year in a row when a Catacon ticket sales for specific events have opened at the exact same weekend as Tsubasacon.
Yep.
So this is the 2nd Tsubasacon in a row when you've been sitting in a panel buying us board gaming tickets.
Correct.
Which, again, sorry for to the people whose panel we were in. We just wanted to make sure we snagged the stuff we wanted for that weekend.
Yes. And I started paying attention after that. It was also we were interested to see if our events fills. It looks like right now, based on what I've seen, all of them, knock on wood, are going to run.
Both of your events have filled completely. As of the last time I looked, 2 of my events have at least 3 people in, and one of them's got 2 people in.
Yeah, which should be enough for all of them to run. So,
yeah.
That said, if you're going to a Catacon, please sign up for our events.
Yes. I will tell you what those events are if you care.
Yeah. So you'll have to start reviewing this because I was busy trying to game plan for this. Also, thank you again for having free Wi-Fi. It's extraordinarily helpful because I did this last year too.
Yep. So yeah, this panel was basically talking about specific Disney villains and grading them basically on a scale from irredeemable monster to, you know what, they kind of had a point. That within the bounds of what they were doing, they weren't necessarily evil. They were just slightly on the wrong side, that kind of stuff. And a couple of the takes were deliberately kind of hot takes. Mm-hmm. They listed Gaston as actually kind of had a point, at least from his own perspective.
That's not how ethics works.
No, it's not.
This is the other thing is this was a good panel. The presenters had great energy.
Mm-hmm.
As an ethics professor, panels like this annoy me because they get too much wrong. It's just hard. I kind of had to be on my laptop because I was just going to get annoyed. And that's not a fault of them. That's just a fault of ethics is a topic that's fun to talk about in a informal sense. A lot of the time, most people do.
Yep.
Which is great. It's just sometimes then people use that informal sense of talking about ethics to talking about it formally. And that leads to actual human rights violations.
Yep.
I'm not criticizing this panelist. This is a perfectly fine panel for somebody to do. They had a great energy doing it. It's just a little bit hard for me, who's a professional, on a topic like this to listen to.
Yeah. But I had fun.
Yeah. I was busy buying tickets.
Yep. So yeah, well put together, well presented panel. They borrowed my phone charger, or technically that's my iPad charger.
Well, it was 4 headphones that they didn't use in the panel. I was confused about why they needed to charge those headphones, but whatever.
Who knows? They needed a mini USB charger, and I happened to have one because it was in your backpack.
Yeah. And because this was the same group that was doing Son of a Blank last night, they were also just giving out prizes to random people for attending, which was awesome.
Yeah. So again, fun, enjoyable panel. We basically just stayed in that room immediately afterwards for the shipping panel.
Yep. Which was them talking about different types of ships. Group has great chemistry. Guy knows how to work a crowd.
Yep.
This one I liked more just because I didn't involve ethics.
Yep.
So and also I bought tickets and was kind of riding that high because I got most of what I wanted. I'm still overthinking Saturday, but you're gonna get annoyed with me if I continue.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you off if you keep overthinking this.
Yes, honey.
But yeah, so it's worth noting that when it comes to shipping, we are specifically referring to the art of shipping 2 characters together. We're not talking about boats. Well, okay, you are, but
I broke the host on that one.
Yeah. Well, again, your favorite problematic ship is the Titanic and the ship that got stuck in the Suez Canal a couple of years.
Baby.
Yeah. A couple of years ago.
I believe that those two have a relationship together.
Yes, that is your ship.
Yes. Shipping.
Yeah. So yeah, that was, so they talked about various types of ship, whether it be
friendship, rivalries, polycules, all that. It was safe for work type stuff.
Yeah, and then they basically asked for they spent about the last 15 minutes at the end with audience examples.
Yeah.
Which is good. I got to go up and talk about Celestine and Greyfax, which was my ship.
I got to talk about Titanic versus the Evergreen, which I pitched in such a way that it did break multiple people in the room.
Yep. Again, well, you started talking about Titanic.
The film, yeah. How many of you have ever seen Titanic? And everyone probably assumed that it would have been a Jack and Rose thing or something like that. And then I pivoted to the actual ship.
Yep. Which again, comedy. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. So then I did like that group's energy. They were doing an improv show with a clever title. That's literally what the description says.
Yep.
After that, Lingo was opposite that. And Lingo's one of my favorite con games just because it's basically Wordle, which means I don't have to know anything about anime to actually play it.
Yep.
So it's fun.
So yeah, so we pivoted over to the room that was doing all the game shows all weekend. Mm-hmm. And we both volunteered to do Lingo. I can't remember why I had to leave the room for a couple of minutes. It might have just been for a bathroom break. But while I was doing that, you put both of our names into the hat.
So yeah, this one is by a different host who does it just basically by randomly drawing names out of a hat.
Yeah, perfectly valid way to get your contestants. But you didn't actually put my name, did you, honey?
No, I wrote British Brat.
Ugh. So yeah, both of our names got pulled, but we were, this time, whereas with Pointless we were a pair, on this one we're actually facing off against each other with 2 other people.
Yeah.
Just the way the draw worked. So yeah, you won.
Yeah, so Lingo's basically Wordle. I don't know how else to describe it, but
Yeah.
besides it, you're playing Wordle against another team of people to try to guess word. There's a few more rules than that, but it's the basic of it. And you draw balls out of a hat to try to get a bingo thing on the board to get points. So we played back and forth. The person I was playing with somehow managed to draw all 3 stopper balls, which pivoted control back over to your team.
Yeah, you guys still hammered us.
Yep. I mean, that person,
Actually, we were ahead. We were ahead pretty comfortably for round 1, and then like it was like you two both like switched on and found your game, and at that point, like you hammered us. Like I don't think we got any points after that.
Yeah. I felt like we had a good rhythm with that person. They kept wanting to hang out with us all weekend, so I think we did a good job as a team. And they, I will say, are a great game show contestant. Like, they did great in both of the games we were in with them. So, and we do know their name. This is not a thing where we forgot your name. I remember what it was. But we don't know if you want it called out on a podcast.
Yeah, we didn't ask your permission to say your name on the podcast, so we try not to. Like anybody who's presenting, we think it's fair game to say their name because they're listed on the schedule.
Yeah, so that information you can look up. People who are just private citizens, we don't tend to list on the podcast.
Unless they've given us permission. Like
or they're cops. If they're cops and doing bad stuff, I will list their name on the podcast. That's not happened, though. So yeah. So after that, this was, I think, very fun. I like Lingo as a con game a lot. It's very silly. It's very fun. That game actually gives out cash as prizes, so we wanted, because you got $5 for being on the show, and then we got $20 for winning the jackpot.
Yeah.
And the Lingo jackpot you basically get by just trying to spell words as fast as you can. And statistically, most people, I think, get about like 6 to 8 answers right. Half the board's already filled in, so like statistically, you're probably going to get it at that point.
You've got a pretty decent chance.
You do get one random draw pool to try to see if you get like the grand prize, but that's just basically random. You have to pull a certain ball out of the like hat / bowl.
Yeah, out of the available options.
So you have like maybe a 1 in 20 chance of that happening.
Yeah.
Which didn't happen either of the games. I did play 2 games. We weren't in the second one.
Yep.
But I was like totally relaxed throughout this game. It's actually kind of nice playing against you because if I win, then I can be happy I won, and if you won, I can be happy you won.
Yep.
So I felt no stress during that game. I think you were checking in on me during
I did check at one point.
I was fine. This was a lot of fun. If anything, it's just because you're working with somebody who you don't know a lot of the time. I was mostly just trying to make sure that other person was having fun. So.
And they seem to.
Yeah.
I'm in desperate need of a shave today. But yeah. So we ended up winning $25 total, which, like as I said, not paid
for parking. Gives us $10 extra too.
Yep.
So then we did same room, 30-minute break. We just kind of hung out there. Was Press Your Luck. This was also with Greggo.
Yep.
So this is one we don't tend to like volunteer in because Press Your Luck, if you've seen it, is a game where there's some trivia questions to it. But for the most part, you're spinning a wheel and earning prizes. But you have a chance to like bankrupt or foul out by getting whammies.
Yep.
You get 4 whammies. It's just a very luck-based game, which isn't. I don't tend to like games that are that luck-based. I don't think you really do either.
Again, I like it fine. It's more, to me, that one's more fun to watch than it is to participate.
More fun to watch. I remember not liking it as a child to watch it on TV, reruns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You should watch the documentary on the guy who like scammed the system though by figuring out the board algorithm. He's just a really interesting figure generally. He also manipulated like a yogurt getting contest once to like win a trip to Spain. Like he's fascinating.
Cool.
Greggo knows about him.
Yeah. But yeah, so again, like it's very much one that, I'm happy he does it. It's very, very fun to watch.
It's very fun to watch, and we don't need to play in every single one of his games.
Yeah, it's not one we would volunteer to take part in, I think is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, it was very fun. There was a lot of, like, because of the bankruptcy mechanics and passing the whammies to other people, which is other stuff you can do.
There was one point where it was super tense, and I was, like, hugging on to you for comedy value.
Well, it's fun cheering in a crowd of people at a con who are just very invested in it, and because the stakes are so much lower, like the person who wins Greggo's games gets Greggo bucks to spend at his table, where you can basically get like plushies and figurines and stuff like that, which is cute, but like the stakes aren't high enough that you have to feel too bad about it.
Yeah, it's not like he's actually offering you a trip to Spain.
Yeah, which he does emphasize.
Yes. Because again, the original show did have like special prizes you could win. That was like
but then you also have to deal with U.S. tax law.
Yeah, that gets complicated.
Yeah.
Seriously, kids, if you win a Ferrari, don't. Just sell it immediately because you're gonna have to pay a lot in taxes. So yeah.
This was a lot of fun to watch. It was a very like epic game generally.
Yeah.
Somebody did win the jackpot at the end, and there was a lot of like spins at the end. It had, I think, the perfect amount of tension. It was a very, very fun game.
It was, very fun, very silly, very enjoyable from the audience.
Yes.
What did we do after that?
We went to Fandom Jeopardy.
Yes. So again, this one was in one of the panel rooms. I think it was panel room 1.
Yep.
And we weren't sure if we were we knew we wanted something for that time slot. We weren't sure if we were going to stay for Fandom Jeopardy because Jeopardy at cons is very hit and miss.
Mm-hmm.
Largely based on the categories and the specific questions they ask. And this was definitely one of the better ones we've seen in terms of like the level at which it's pitched. They were also using the Jeopardy software that you use in your class, which is free online, rather than having just tried to make their own with PowerPoint.
Yes, I do get that you do need an internet connection to use the Jeopardy I use in my class, but if you have an internet connection, it's just so much better because, for one thing, it has a board and it gets rid of the questions when you use them, so it's like a lot easier to read, and you don't have to like remember what categories you picked or anything else. And it makes it easier for the audience too. So they had, I think, 3 rounds of Jeopardy, and they also decided by basically random draw. And they also had an amazing table of prizes where everyone who came up got a prize.
Yep.
And I will say the Jeopardy questions were also, I would say, pitched pretty well. Like, if anything, they were slightly too easy, but...
A couple of them maybe, but, like, again, there were definitely some that nobody could answer, and they had to, like, throw it to the audience.
Especially
kind of
with Jeopardy, you do want it to be a game where, like, at least 80% of the questions are answerable, because it's fun to, like, watch people try to buzz in. And they kept with the Jeopardy rule that you can't buzz in until after they finish reading the question.
Yes.
Because that's meant to be an equalizer in Jeopardy, so it doesn't privilege people who have faster reading comprehension.
Yeah.
So you would have to listen to the entire question, except for the Who's That Pokemon questions, where then you just looked at the Pokemon and slam.
Yeah.
The joke on that was great.
Yeah. I'm not going to spoil the joke, but they did a pretty good joke.
There was a pretty good joke about Who's That Pokemon there.
Yeah.
A Jigglypuff is seen from above level joke, I would say.
I would say so.
This was pitched at the right level. We didn't get chosen for it. The room was pretty full, though, so I knew we probably weren't going to be.
Yeah. And the way that they chose this one was raffle tickets, so again...
I said that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So it was pretty random. We did get 2 siblings, both of whom were under the age of 18, facing off against each other.
That was great.
It was so cute. And neither of them won, because a lot of the questions were clearly meant for people who were our age.
Yep.
They did not know what console
Super
Mario Brothers 64 was played on.
Yeah, Mario. Yeah, which console was Mario 64 on? I think I heard the parent threaten to disown them after that one because they were like, I don't know, the GameCube.
Well, also, so they said, I think something else like Sega or something like that, which isn't even the right company. And then afterwards, there was a question about GameCube, and they, for GameCube, answered like that weird cube thing or something like that.
That weird cube thing?
They definitely tried to answer something as blank cube, but that wasn't actually GameCube.
GameCube, yeah. So, yeah.
This is just us. When we were kids, I'm sure we were also like that. So.
Oh, yeah.
And the kids were definitely also talking trash to each other in the most adorable way. It was very cute. So
it's also worth noting that the grand prize, if you won Final Jeopardy, was 2 tickets to a ticket to next year's Tsubasacon,
which is a great prize.
3-day branch. Like, that's a really good prize.
And for the Final Jeopardy, so they had 3 rounds of Jeopardy with like no final questions. Just whoever had the most points at the end took the prize. And they also didn't lose points for guessing wrong, which I think is important for con-based Jeopardy.
Yep.
And just Jeopardy, just any fan Jeopardy generally, I think losing points mechanics sometimes robs people of like guessing at an answer they're not 100% certain of and getting that really cool feeling of getting it right, which I don't think you should rob people of. You should rob people of doing whatever that was.
Yeah, that was not a particularly safe piece of driving by either of those people.
So Final Jeopardy, though, they brought up the 3 people who won the previous rounds, and they asked them a practical question.
Yep. One of which involved the word tourniquet. So
yep.
I'm just going to leave it to your imagination what that question was.
Yeah. We did learn an interesting fact, though, that I'm not going to get out of my brain.
Which one?
About how you tell what time you put a tourniquet on if you don't have a pen.
Yeah. It's good advice.
It is. I don't know if we should share that advice.
I mean, we might as well. Yeah, apparently if you've applied a tourniquet, you need to make sure you make a note of what time it was put on, because that's important information for the EMTs to know. If you don't have the pen handy, use their blood. It's there. You might as well use it.
So after that, we walked around for a little bit. We did meet up with Bridget and James briefly. I do feel a bit bad that we didn't have as much time to spend with them this weekend, but we hadn't seen Greggo in like a year, and I really wanted to support him this weekend.
Yeah.
They were also paneling most of the day. They did their Yu-Gi-Oh panel, and they did their Back to the Future panel.
Yep.
We've seen their Back to the Future panel. You haven't seen Yu-Gi-Oh, and I kind of want you to like watch Yu-Gi-Oh before you see that panel.
Yeah.
So, but we will probably check it out if we ever watch
So we
Yu-Gi-Oh.
haven't seen the Yu-Gi-Oh panel?
I don't remember.
I thought we saw it at Galaxy or Anime.
I don't think we saw their Yu-Gi-Oh panel, but I don't remember.
I don't remember for certain. We've
And for the
definitely seen that Back to the Future one. I
This
remember
is
that
just
one.
cons running together, though. And the Back to the Future panel is great, and they're great like panelists that have great chemistry. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
highly recommend their panels.
Yeah.
So Bridget had to get ready for cosplay lineup that was happening at that time.
Yep.
We did go back there and see, like, it was about 5. They were supposed to line up from 5 to 6. It didn't look like they were letting anyone in at 5 when we walked down there because we met them at the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
We talked to them for a little bit. Bridget had to go line up, so we talked to James for a little bit longer. Swapped horrifying family stories, all that.
Yep.
And then I started to feel the fun sick I feel when I haven't slept. That probably has to do with the fact I can't eat food during the day, so I had to go sit down.
Yeah.
James was very understanding, though.
And we briefly contemplated going to watch the Masquerade, but on this one we ended up instead going over to again another Greggo game show.
Well, like Greggo hasn't done. We've not seen Greggo do Family Feud. It's someone he does fairly regularly.
That's true, largely because again, like Pointless, this one requires a survey of 100 people, which is a pain in the neck.
Yeah, this is the thing. When a lot of cons do it or do Family Feud, they tend to just kind of use general surveys that people have already done, or like they get the information from like a phone app or something like that, and it's less fun and it's less specific to cons.
Yep.
Whereas this was tailored by Greggo, and that was a lot more interesting to us.
Yeah.
So how Greggo was doing Family Feud is that it was similar random draw, but it had to be teams of 5 people. So he would let any family who happened to have a team of 5 people enter, but for the most part, everyone in the room like partnered up with each other.
Yeah, it was basically a case of if you don't have a family of 5, go make friends.
Yeah.
Which again, valid way of doing it.
Yeah. So the person who was my partner at Lingo asked if we wanted to team up.
Yep. And then we found 2 other people who I think they were the 2 who were also doing Pointless, weren't they?
Yeah, there were 2 who were also doing Pointless, so I knew they liked game shows and participating in them. So you went to ask them.
Yep. So I kind of went up to them and just asked if they were interested in pairing up, and they said, yeah, sure, why not? Mm-hmm. So the 5 of us made up a team. Our team captain went up and did the
That
random.
was the guy who I did Lingo with. The rest of us were pairs, and I think we're happy to have him be team captain, as he seemed the most excited about the whole thing.
Yep.
So.
We ended up getting on that show.
Yeah.
And again, random drawing. Specifically, Greggo likes to do that with cards, where you draw a card, high card gets to be on high card, or cards get to be on the show. Nice and simple and straightforward.
And Family Feud it is about guessing answers, but there is kind of a certain amount of luck to it in terms of just whether or not you happen to think of an answer that other people think too. I do think we got a little bit lucky in this game just with how the rounds worked out.
Yeah.
Not that I want to emphasize our teammates were also incredible, which helped.
Yeah. Though hilariously, I love the fact I ended up sitting between 2 college professors because one of the one of that pair of people was also a college professor.
Yeah.
And because again, you were wearing a giant poofy ball gown as Ariel, you were on the end.
I was on the end, and the team captain was at the beginning, which worked out. So them and I never even had to do the fast questions because we only did 4 rounds of the game because we won every round.
Yeah.
Which I felt a bit bad about.
Again,
but I also don't know what's actually going to be on the board. It's kind of hard to even throw Family Feud if you want to. So.
Yeah, you never really know.
And I think we were pretty collaborative as a team generally.
We were.
There was one about anime. The first question was about food or animes that food's part of it. So the only one everyone knew was Delicious in Dungeon. Everyone knew that one. And I think somebody said, I don't know, I think One Piece also has a lot of cooking in it, so that was stated. And after they got those 2,
it was just
no one knew any answers. Both of us got X's, and then the other team also didn't know anything. The second question, I assume it's fine to talk about this because Greggo does use unique ones for every single one of his cons. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to remember what the other questions were. There was one about underrated Miyazaki movies, which me and the team captain both thought Howl's Moving Castle, which wound up being the correct answer because we only played 1 round. We stole the rest of the rounds.
Yep.
And do you remember any of the other questions?
Not off the top of my head, I'm afraid.
I remember a Pokemon card value, which was the one we run on with Mew as our guess.
Yeah. So again, well-pitched questions generally, and then fast money at the end. Neither of us participated because, again, fast money is just 2 people.
It's 2 people, and we wanted to give people who actually watch anime a chance to participate. Yeah. So our team captain participated because they seemed really enthusiastic about wanting to, and they were fantastic.
They did a really good job.
And one of the other, I don't think they're a couple. I think they're just friends, but they have known each other since they were 5 years old. So
yep, which is adorable.
Yep. One of them participated, and they rock, paper, scissors to choose who. So that person went first. They got about half the board, which again is what you're supposed to do.
Yep.
You're trying to guess those popular answers to get 200 points.
Yep.
And then our team captain went up and literally hit the most popular answer for all of them.
Not all of them, but 3 out of the 5.
5, yeah. Including one of which is what animal was most likely to transform into a magical girl or something like that.
Yeah, it was what animals have had
magical girl transformations in anime or something like that.
Again, it was female version, humanized versions of
The point is, he guessed cat.
And cat had 74 points.
And we needed 10 at that point.
Yep.
And Greggo was like, I'm not going to even hold you in suspense about this. Everyone knows that cat has at least 10 points.
Yeah. Hilariously, it turns out penguin had 2.
And we only know that because the person who went last time guessed an animal that didn't have points, or I think they skipped the question, which is absolutely fine. And they had to put something in, so they just put penguin in to get the software to work.
Yep.
And everyone was just like, who the heck? How did 2 people put penguin for that?
Who knows? Maybe there's one very specific anime that 2 people happen to like.
Yep. So then we won the ultimate grand prize jackpot, which wound up being about 10 Greggo bucks each, which is how I first started acquiring plushies, because of course I was going to get plushies.
Yep. Yeah, so again, went down. After that, went to the prize table, got some bits and bobs. That's when we filled out the first of the pointless surveys.
Mm-hmm. And then we briefly went back upstairs. We chose our prizes with our kind of people who were down there. They were all super nice, so that was super fun. I had to pick out some plushies. Some other people picked out some t-shirts and some fun stuff.
Yeah, I ran them back to the car.
Yep.
It was easier to carry them around.
We took Greggo's surveys.
Yep.
Mostly to help people who get answers right that are really common that I don't know. So.
Yep.
And then we briefly checked out the improv show that was upstairs. I do say briefly, we were debating heading home at this point, but it was only 7, and I was being stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
And the improv show, I want to emphasize, was absolutely fine.
Yeah, solid, enjoyable improv show.
We just weren't feeling it, and we're tired.
Yeah.
Because we're old.
Again, we'd had a late night the night before. We wanted to get home to Emma and the Buns.
Yeah.
Because for anybody who's not listened to this podcast before, we have a small dog, and as of a month ago, we also have 2 rabbits.
Yes.
They haven't met each other yet.
People ask us that a lot.
Yeah. Well, we're going to introduce them to each other eventually.
I thought we were introducing them to each other tomorrow.
We were thinking of doing it tomorrow, yeah. It's either going to go really well or really badly.
There's really not a lot of in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, the improv show was funny, and it seemed like the people were doing well. It's just, it was supposed to go till 8:30, and we were just not sure there was anything really after that was grabbing us terribly well.
Yeah.
So we decided to just kind of head out. Cosplay contest was still going on at that point. We found out that Bridget won an award, which was great because she messaged us on the rest. She was doing a Back to the Future routine that I hope winds up on YouTube because I would love to see it.
Yep.
I'm glad that she was able to win something. They also give out a lot of awards at this cosplay competition generally, for everyone, so that's pretty cool. Not for everyone, but a lot of awards.
There's a decent number of awards.
I've not seen it either of the years we've been, so I can't really review it. I did watch it on YouTube kind of later out of idle curiosity. It seemed like it was pretty well run, so. Yep. But I've not entered it, so don't know. So, and we headed home. We stopped at a place that was only doing ready-to-order food, so it took 15 minutes, but
sorry.
It's fine. And then we came back today.
Yep.
Hooray.
So you wanted to talk a bit about what you're wearing today.
So, I caved and finally tried to order from one of the vaguely, I'm just going to say Asian fashion sites because J fashion is a very particular thing, but I ordered a 2-piece set, top kind of shorter dress than a longer kind of hoop skirt from them, from Devlin Inspired, which is the kind of biggest Western market retailer to the United States at the point. I've been hesitant to order from them. Again, they're kind of like a Walmart of this type of clothing, so you don't really know what quality you're getting a lot of the time. I generally don't buy anything that is ridiculously cheap, one, just because I know it's not going to be quality, well, at least if it's new. I don't buy ridiculously cheap, and I also can't guarantee fair labor practices. I do want to emphasize that even if I'm paying more, I still can't guarantee fair labor practices. It's just I know with 100% certainty that if I'm paying $20 for like a ball gown new, that's not fair labor practices.
Yeah,
and it's also not going to look
good.
good. So, yeah. So I did cave and decided to try. This is a little bit costume fabric-y, but I would say generally an outfit that I'm pretty happy with. I'm interested to see if it holds up. Like how many times I can wear it before it starts breaking as opposed to some of the other stuff. So I might report back on that at some point.
Yeah.
It's fairly reasonable, $100 to $200 range for the two-piece set. I don't remember the exact cost, but somewhere in there, which is reasonable. I suspect a bit underpriced for the amount of ruffles it has in terms of how much they're paying the person who likely made it. And again, all clothing that is stitched has to be stitched by human hand. There's no other way to do it.
Yep.
So pros and cons to that. I will say that the website worked fairly well and was fairly quick in terms of ordering. It took about 2 weeks for it to get here. Was tracked the entire time, and Devlin Inspired is one that has decent enough US translations and customer service, so if an item doesn't arrive, you can negotiate that fairly easily as compared to some of the other websites.
Yes.
Websites that are entirely in Chinese or Japanese, you can also buy from, and the cost will likely be a bit lower per item, but it's a bit riskier in terms of the item actually making it there on time. That's kind of the trade-off you're paying for in terms of cost.
Yeah, and at this point, you might also get slapped by tariffs.
That's a lot. Okay. I could go into that in so much detail, honey.
Yeah, you could. I don't think we need to.
I don't need to. There's a lot to say about that generally. Look, the point is, it actually worked out fairly well. I'm pretty happy with what I paid for what I got.
Yep.
I might try with them again. I'm still a bit hesitant to try from other places that have less good English translations, just because while the price might be cheaper, there's a lot more randomness involved, because you have to keep in mind all these websites aren't one particular company. There are a bunch of companies using one website to sell them, so it's harder to manage quality-wise. But as somebody who's into clothes, it's interesting, and this is also part of the reason why I do actually like a lot of people who sell these clothes in cons and vendors halls and stuff like that, because you really do need to be able to touch the fabric to know
roughly what you're going to get.
Yeah. And that's why places like Joann's are also important.
Yep.
Thanks, private equity firms.
R.I.P. Joann's. Yeah.
So that's my brief review of this. This is basically a kind of Lolita J-fashion dress.
Yep.
Whether or not it actually qualifies as J-fashion is one of those gatekeeping questions I don't want to get into.
Yeah. But it was very popular.
Yes.
Like, you got a lot of very nice things said about you today.
Yeah. I suspected it would be, and you pointed out, because it's a two-piece outfit, and we did test this, I can just take off the bottom half and just wear this as like a normal dress if I ever want to go anywhere after the con. I do like this a lot. It's like a Sunday outfit.
As I said, I think it'll be really good for, like, if we go to a con that's like a 5-hour return drive or something like that, like, you can just drop the hoop skirt, drop the lower half, and it's,
it still looks great. Like, it's a full dress. It's just a dress that's above the knee as opposed to floor length. Yeah.
So that gives you options, and I think will be very useful in future for, like, long drives on a Sunday. So, yeah. So, again, got up early, got on the road, about the same time as yesterday, about 9 o'clock-ish.
Yep.
When we,
got here about 11.
Yep.
We went to the Sunday marketplace.
Yep.
Which was similar to a lot of other cons. It's basically like a garage sale that takes place on Sunday.
Yep.
It was listed as a featured event, which means that it doesn't have like a consistent location.
Yep.
So you went to the information table to ask about it.
I did. I think you were taking a bathroom break at the time. So yeah, I basically just went up and asked, and they said, "Oh yeah, that's down in the gaming hall." And I said, "Cool, thanks." Nice and simple and straightforward. So we meandered down there. Said hi to Greggo. Quickly took a survey and then went in. Or did we do that? I think we might have done that the other way around.
Yeah, we went in and briefly looked around. They had like actual nice garage sale pricing, unlike certain other cons that don't.
Yep.
So we got a couple plushies for $3.
Yeah.
One which was a wolf, and one was a little pushing cat. So both of those were super cute. I'm perfectly happy with that. I failed in my mission to not acquire more plush, but the price was so reasonable that it's fine. If I ever want to give those away, I'm not going to think about it too much. And we named them. The kitten that has a ice cream cone is called Vanilla Sprinkle, and we named the wolf that we got Tsubasa.
Yep.
After Tsubasacon, which I guess means wing, which maybe is not the best name for a wolf, but whatever.
Yeah, it works.
So we then said hi to Greggo and took his survey.
Yep.
He mentioned to us that he was planning for his tic-tac-doge that day to pick people who hadn't won jackpots yet. We had already weren't planning on participating for basically that reason.
Yep.
So, and also because tic-tac-toe is definitely a game that's more anime knowledge focused than the other stuff we were playing, so we wouldn't have been terribly good at it anyway.
Yeah. So at that point we wandered around for a little bit. I can't remember. No, there wasn't a panel on that really grabbed us at that point.
No, they don't use the actual main event space on Sunday. So the downstairs area, when you crawl past the ballroom and submain, is basically empty. So it's actually a good place to just kind of walk around during that time.
Yeah.
So we did that. Had, kind of hung out, watched the ducks go by and stuff like that. Well, at least we would have watched the ducks go by had the river had any ducks.
Yeah. It was just some guy in a boat. That's
Lame.
not a duck.
That's not a duck. So after that, we went to tic-tac-toe.
Yeah. Which I think did technically start a few minutes late just because the thing that was in that room beforehand was a concert, so they had to do a lot of rejiggering in between.
Specifically, the Lisa Furukawa?
Furukawa?
Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it, band. The schedule was wheezing in the wind, so it was not easy to answer. We did hear them just because we were walking around the hallway around there, and you could basically hear it because it sent an amplifying effect through the entire back half of the convention center.
Which was cool.
Yeah, it was cool, and it was good. They were a good band.
Yeah.
Highly recommend them.
Oh, yeah. So again, we went in, grabbed a seat. They rejiggered things around us. Again, thank you, Tsubasacon, for not kicking us out of rooms. We really, really hate it when cons do that.
Or insist we can't go into rooms. We try to be really respectful of the band. So we first entered the room and realized the band was still doing teardown, so we walked around a bit more to give them more time to do teardown, and we came in 10 minutes before, and the band was mostly done with teardown. Yeah. We were very careful to stay out of their way. Yeah,
we did not want to be getting in their way, and And again, there was a very deliberate half-hour break between the official end of the band's performance and the start of the Greggo's panel, specifically because everybody involved knew they were going to need set up a teardown time. Good call, wise decision whoever made that. Because again, some things can do their setup and teardown pretty quick, some of them take a while, and this was definitely a takes a little while job.
Yeah, and most events in the con did have about a 30-minute break, some didn't, it was kind of random, but this one did, which I think it needed, so that's good.
Yeah.
So then we watched Tic-Tac-Toe.
Yep.
Which is a game show that is kind of what it sounds like. It's basically you have a board that's a tic-tac-toe board, and categories around the board are randomized, and each space on the board has a random category, in this case all related to anime.
Yep.
It switches back whose turn it is, and you basically pick a question to answer. If you pick the center space on the board, you have to answer a 2-part question. If you pick any of the outer spaces, you have to answer a 1-part question based on the given category.
Yep.
And if you answer the question correctly, you get that space.
Yeah. And again, I did appreciate that at the end it did actually come down to a buzzer question, which
was fun for at least one of the rounds. They played a couple different rounds. They tried to pick people who hadn't played yet, which was, I think, a good strategy.
Yep.
And Jesus wound up winning.
Jesus won, yep.
He really took the wheel there.
Yeah. There was a guy who we were seeing all weekend at a Jesus cosplay who just was carrying a car steering wheel with him. Solid joke, no notes.
And I will say, if you win a Greggo game show on Sunday, you really get to clear out the prize table.
Yeah.
Which is great. And again, I'm very happy for him.
Yeah. So,
because he won the Sunday jackpot, which was a lot of Greggo bucks, so he could basically get what he wanted, which was awesome. So.
Yep.
And in addition to the rounds you play, there's also a jackpot round where you're basically guessing 9 spaces on the board and either trying to match tick or tack or gain $1,000. So which he did manage to do. So.
Which again was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. And at the end, he let people play basically a game called Find the Dragon. Because if you typically find the dragon on the bonus board, then you
that's
bankrupt.
Yeah.
But he lets people play Find the Dragon at the end of the game. I think this is Greggo's way of letting people who wouldn't be able to answer the questions or otherwise play in one of his games for whatever reason, small kids, be able to play. And I think that's a really good way of doing that.
I think it is. Adds a bit of fun, a bit of fluff to the end.
Yeah. And it was a lot of fun. It was very fun to watch. Love Greggo's presentation style.
Yeah.
You don't seem to be adding as much to these conversations.
Again, it's mostly just we're also driving through the road work, so I have to pay slightly more attention to the road.
Same. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Again, like the other thing I will note is that Greggo does record these, so these will be going up on the YouTubes.
Yep.
I know he had some problems a couple of years back where I think one of his hard drives died, so he lost a whole bunch of footage. But hopefully, things should be rolling again. And I love the fact that on Tic-Tac-Toe, if you pick the center square and you get that question that's two parts, you get quote unquote a little bit of thinking time. And it was very clear that for one of the questions, Jesus didn't need the extra thinking time, and he wanted to answer it. I was like, nope, I have to give you the thinking time, or the YouTube game show audience will kill me.
Yeah.
So just wait. Which I did find that very amusing, because there are a lot of game show purists out there.
Yes. Just because I'm a girl doesn't mean I can't be a game show.
There.
It's fine.
I love you.
Love you too. And for the record, no one there was like suggesting I wasn't a game show nerd. It's just generally when we in a room, we start talking to people around. People like tend to talk to you first because they think that you're there because you really like British game shows.
Yep.
When in reality, you're there because I dragged you.
Again, I enjoy watching them.
I do. And
I just don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of them.
Yep. Whereas I'm closer to that. Like, not insane levels, but it is just something that I kind of grew up with in a way.
Yeah.
And I do watch Pointless a lot right now. It's been kind of my go-to comfort food.
That's fair. Pointless is good.
It is. And it's fun to kind of come up with answers. And I will say, as an American watching British Pointless, it's especially fun when a question about America comes up. Because one, you have to like predict what they're going to answer and what they would or wouldn't know.
The answer is usually not much.
And particularly if it's like about American sports or something like that, I'm like, oh, this is so easy. And then they're like,
why would we know that?
Yeah. So it's fun to kind of think about that. But then, again, you're also burnt on the British ones of Pointless, because there's some questions like, name train stations in the London Underground. And you're like, I don't know.
I mean, I couldn't do that. But again, like, I'm required to hate London by Northerner law. So, if I say anything nice about London, I won't be able to go home.
You're a dork. Yeah. That was the last Greggo game show for this weekend. It ended on a jackpot, which was always great to see.
Yep.
And Greggo's also very good about keeping his game shows to time to make sure that they don't bleed into anything else.
Yes. So so at that point, we meandered over to go to, what was the panel we were theoretically going to go to?
We were thinking about going to Factoid Face Off.
Yes.
But we did take a brief trip downstairs because you wanted to say hi to the Warhammer people really quick. And
so I did a bit of a stop and chat about Tau for a bit.
And a little girl saw me and felt the need to tell her mom that she saw a real princess, and my heart has since melted into 1,000 pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, both our hearts ended up like melted in our shoes for a few minutes.
Yep.
Because we did.
And then I tried to get her to say hi to me, and she got shy.
Yeah.
She was a small child.
It was so cute.
It was adorable.
So yeah, this dress is definitely a winner.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to wear this one again. We'll see how long it lasts, because I am a little bit skeptical about the material. But it is pretty, so. So we did that. I nerded out with some Warhammer fans for a little bit. And then we went up to Panel Room 2 to go see Factoid Face Off, which was by, I think, group that we were planning on also maybe staying to see it last night.
Saturday night.
But it was starting at 9, and we decided to head out early.
Yeah.
As was at the back of the Gundam panel that seemed to be very enthusiastic. So, nothing about Gundams to really review that, but people in the panel seemed to be having fun.
Yep.
And then we got in the room, and the Gundam panel cleared out, and no one came in.
Yep. And then two people came and joined the audience, and there was still nobody there. And I was like, I'm not convinced this panel's going to run.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to about 5 past, and I'm like, okay, let's head out.
Yep.
And as I was walking past the desk for the panels, I did notice a thing had been written to say that panel had been cancelled. Mm-hmm. Could have been a little more obviously displayed.
Yeah, it was not on Eventi. I did check Eventi, and it was still listed there.
Yeah.
But
again, things happen.
Things happen. Panels get canceled. This wasn't something we were particularly interested in anyway, and having one panel get canceled across the whole weekend is Not a big deal.
Again, it happens.
Yeah. I will say I'm glad we didn't stay for the 9 o'clock panel the night before that was by the same group.
Yes, because to be fair, I have no idea if that one was also cancelled or not.
Yeah, we don't know, but it would have been a shame to have to stay up till, that late, just to have it be canceled.
Yeah.
So we shifted across to Deal or No Deal.
Yep.
So this was also when we kind of came into the back of the previous panel, which was getting your friends into anime.
Which again seemed like a perfectly good panel.
It seemed like a good panel. It was basically like them recommending anime, them playing clips from the anime that you could potentially use to get your friends interested in. As somebody who is not very interested in anime, I liked the 3 or 4 recommendations we saw.
Yep. Once again, this was a panel that chose to slag off the Netflix adaptation of Cowboy Bebop, and as I think the only person who likes that.
You have horrible taste. We've established that before.
Yeah, this is true. Because, I haven't actually seen the original anime, so I was just watching it as a show in its own right, and I thought it was perfectly fine. It wasn't the greatest thing I've ever watched or anything, but it was perfectly fine. But as I understand it, a lot of people think Cowboy Bebop is the greatest show ever made. So, having an adaptation of it that's perfectly fine probably means it rates as terrible by contrast, so...
Do you want to talk about Epic the Musical? Because we did. And
yeah, this is true. So on the return drive home on Saturday night, and also on the drive down on Sunday morning, because it's really friggin' long, we decided to listen to Epic the Musical just so we could understand why it's so popular.
Because we've seen it at a number of cons. There wasn't anything about at this con specifically, other than I think somebody offhandedly mentioning they liked it during one of the panels, which again is fine.
Yeah.
We don't want to knock anyone for liking something. The purpose of fandom is for liking something.
Yep.
So we were vaguely curious. We're like, okay.
We've been meaning to check this out for a while. We've got a longish drive. This seems like a reasonable opportunity to listen to this.
We don't get it.
Yeah, we were 10 minutes in and we were like, why is this popular?
Look, if this is your favorite thing in the world, it absolutely has a right to be.
Yeah.
And I don't think either of us would say that it's bad in any way, shape, or form. It's just not for us.
Yeah, we would basically just say it's fine.
Yep.
There are some things we think it does fairly well, and a lot of stuff that we think it doesn't.
But if it's your favorite thing in the world, you absolutely have a right to dress or cosplay as characters from it and celebrate it at a con. It just probably won't be things that we want to go to in the future. Yeah.
So yeah, Epic the Musical.
That's a review of Epic the Musical. I know you all were clearly asking for our opinions on that.
To be fair, we have been asked about our opinions on it because we dress as Hades and Persephone.
That's true, which I think is part of why we listen to it. Although Hades and Persephone don't feature in Epic Musical at all,
nope,
so it's
fine.
Because
they're not in the Odyssey.
No, thank God.
Mostly the Odyssey is Poseidon being a dick.
Yeah. Well, that's a taste probably of how the Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge people feel like.
Yeah.
We know a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Cosplayers at this point who have issues with the Abridged series because more people know it than they know Yu-Gi-Oh! And the Abridged series, to the extent I've heard people talk about it, it is funny, but it isn't like the original thing. And if you like the original thing, it's probably not fun to have people constantly reference the parody of the original thing to you as opposed to the original thing. You're dressing up as a Yu-Gi-Oh! Character because you like the original content.
Yeah, it's the same way I feel about if the Emperor had a text-to-speech device. TTS.
I like how you say that as though that's less obscure than Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge.
No, again, TTS is very popular amongst Warhammer fans, and it is funny, but there are plenty of people who treat stuff that's said there like it's canon when it isn't.
Oh my god, I can feel the scraggly beards of all the our audience members growing as they become Warhammer fans.
Exactly. One of these days I will break you all. Both of you. So,
Deal or No Deal?
Deal or No Deal. If you've seen the show, Deal or No Deal is you pick a box, you then open all the other boxes, there are amounts of money in each of those boxes, and after you've opened certain numbers of boxes, they say, we'll pay you this much for your box, do you want to take the deal or not?
Yeah, and I will say as a game show enthusiast, the actual TV show Deal or No Deal just freaking sucks. I hate
terrible.
it.
Because
there's no point. It's just picking things.
Yeah. Now,
and I want to emphasize this is the TV show, not the con game. As a con game, it's excellent. As a TV show, it is horrible.
Yes, because as a con game, one, lower stakes. You're not. Yeah. On the actual TV show, I think the British version was 250,000 was the top value.
We did $1 million in the US because we actually give game show contestants money in the US.
And they drag out one person doing this over the course of an hour.
With 20 commercial breaks. And it's them picking cases. It's just random.
Yep. Whereas at a con, You do it in the, like each person takes like 10 minutes to get through, and the entire audience is yelling nonsense.
Also, like, there's some weird fetishization of hot women models in it, because they added that for whatever reason, because it was the 2000s, and that's just what you did.
Yeah. So all the boxes have to be opened by like conventionally attractive women.
Yeah.
Which, it's not that one for a lark.
We don't knock conventionally attractive women. It's just that it was a bit weird. So yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an absolutely great con game. It's a horrible game show, and it's not really a game show. It's more just kind of like what it becomes at Tsubasacon, which I love, is it's basically like watching a wrestling match, but instead of watching wrestling, you're watching people pick cases.
Yep.
The audience is screaming like they are in wrestling. They come up with random chants.
Yep.
In this particular case, they were commenting about the cost of like a Little Caesars pizza.
Yep.
And whether or not you would be able to afford it with your winnings.
Yep. Because again, this was another one like, Lingo, done by the same person that was giving away actual money. The top prize was $50.
Mm-hmm.
The lowest possible was $0. And I don't think anybody came away from it with more than $10.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, I think one person did get like $10.94 or something like that.
Yeah.
Which again, like, that's just fun.
Yeah, the stakes are silly. One kid was up there who was up there last year, who I think father is either a wrestler or a wrestling fan. The kid has stage presence.
Yeah, it was great.
And it's just fun to cheer. I was surprised, were really into this.
I like cheering for this one because you can just chant stupid stuff.
Yeah. It's basically pro wrestling, but with boxes. So it's without the physicality of pro wrestling, but it's so much fun. Everyone gets so into it as an audience. People come up with chants and cheers. And Jesus was, of course, in the audience again.
Yeah, which led to a beautiful moment when Jesus suggested a box. Because again, audience participation of shouting out which box they should open next is suggested. So Jesus shouted out a box. They opened it, and it was, I think it was the 35, which I think at that moment was the highest value on the board. Yeah. And I was just like, well, there goes my faith in the Almighty, which got a decent laugh out of the audience.
Yeah, and then I think the host was like, shame that it's a Sunday too.
Yeah. So again, like this, it's very, very fun. It's very, very silly.
It's
and again,
silly,
this is
theatrical, and it's a great thing to just do on a Sunday.
Yeah, and this is another one just done by random draw. It was a case of just write your name on a card, stick it in the bag.
Yeah, we didn't participate because, again, random luck-based games I don't tend to like as much.
Yeah.
So.
And this is just another one that's kind of more fun from the audience in that regard.
Again, any adult who's playing the game knows that it's just silly random chance. Although I will say this time, some people actually took deals.
Yeah.
Last year, no one did.
Yeah, last time everybody just got out of the thing, which does mean he occasionally had to chant, pass out like weird amounts of change.
Yeah.
But
it's cute, it's fun, it's definitely worth a laugh, and it's such a silly game.
It is. And that was the point at which we headed out.
Yes.
Because, again, the only thing after that was closing ceremonies. Doing this, we'll get home at like 5:45, which is an actual reasonable time to get home.
Yep, I can do the things I need to do for tomorrow, like take a shower, because I have to work tomorrow, which is lame.
Yeah, I desperately need to shave.
All that jazz. Anyway, we shouldn't talk about our, boring lives. We should talk about our top favorite con moments.
Exactly.
That was a good segue.
Yeah, that actually wasn't bad. So, top favorite con moments. Do you want to go first?
You know which one I'm going to pick. People talking after my panel about my panel. And it's hard for us to review our own panels because we don't have the audience perspective on it. But the fact that people were talking about it afterwards and seemed to have a really good time. This has probably been my favorite of the panels I've given so far, except for maybe Starbase Indie in terms of audience participation and fun. So it was really good. I really liked it. I definitely want a panel of this con again.
Yeah. I'm going to go with joining the 200 Club on Pointless, because that's just funny.
I would agree with you that Pointless generally was great.
Yeah. And incidentally, if you've not listened to the podcast before, these aren't in any particular order.
Yeah, they're just us thinking about the cons.
We're not doing 3, 2, 1. This is just moments we happen to, 3 particular moments each that we happen to really enjoy.
I will take Family Feud because I haven't seen Greggo do that one before, and we did win a jackpot on it, which was pretty cool. And it's fun to team up with random strangers. The camaraderie was just there. We got to make some new friends, and that was super, super fun.
Did you actually want to stop at Taco Bell, by the way?
I'm fine.
Okay. Love you.
It's your turn.
So honestly, that little girl calling her princess in the vendor's hall today, just There went my heart once again. This is the problem with being of the age when we could theoretically be having kids. I'm like, we're not quite there yet in terms of like the position we want to be in before we have kids. So just anytime like something super cute happens with children, it hits both of us right in the ovaries.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I'm trying to think if I want to pick like a specific, because I could do the like general vibes one where it's just like the vibes of the con were really good, but I don't know if that feels like cheating with this con.
Yeah.
Honestly, I might pick just Deal or No Deal because you got really into it, which was super fun, and the audience, like, it's such a fun and unique experience that I've really only ever seen at this con, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think my last one is just going to be having the opportunity to nerd out about Warhammer for like 5 minutes. Like, I don't get that enough these days. Because again, like the nearest Warhammer store is way too goddamn far away to go to, even semi-regularly. So like I don't get the chance to talk about it with people much, which I do regret sometimes, but
Also, bonus to that person who asked me for a hug. You were very, very sweet. Thank you. So also talk about some stuff we didn't do. There was a ribbon game table meetup, a couple of sing-alongs, karaoke, multiple improv shows, including a like improv workshop.
Yep.
Character Creation 101. There was a manga library. We didn't really talk about that at all, but it was there.
It was there. I don't think we actually went in it.
We didn't, so we can't review it.
Yep.
Tea Time with Tink, which was a thing where you drink tea and tell cosplay like tea stories, which is great.
That's cute. Spilling
the tea on the tea.
Yep.
Catch 21, which was one of the few games we didn't do just because it was opposite my panel.
Yep.
Fandom Jeopardy Junior, Furries at my convention, which is I think done by a furry in the community who has done this at multiple conventions.
Yep.
Both Bridget and James's panels, there were 2 different Yu-Gi-Oh panels.
Yep.
Classic Cartoon Carnival, which I think is about cartoons. Literary analysis of Bungo Stray Dogs. Anime fan art, getting Ghibli with it, about Ghibli, which I've seen before. Something about LGBTQ space and neurodivergence, which I think is about talking about trauma that they've experienced.
Yep.
Pocky panel. Bungo Stray Dogs game night, Doodle and Discuss with the GM, hentai, always there's got to be a hentai panel, and a bunch of other stuff that, again, I can't possibly mention everything. I will briefly mention there was no Artemis Bridge Simulator. Maybe they should add one. Honestly, I think this con would like one a lot.
They probably would, actually, to be fair.
So that's the brief overview.
Yep. So, yeah. Is there much else to talk about at this point?
Unless you just want to give our final rating.
I think so. So, for anybody who's not listened to the podcast before, we don't actually do like a numbered score system or a grading system or anything like that. Our rule, we basically just ask one simple question: would we go back to this con?
Which, when emphasizes, is a subjective question because it deals with like how far the con is specifically from our house.
Yes, like there are plenty of cons we have gone to that were perfectly fine, perfectly good cons that if they were like an hour away, we would absolutely go back to. But they were 3 hours away or 5 hours away, and it's like, not, like, if you're local, great, go, have fun, you will enjoy it, but at the same time, like, wasn't worth paying the extra money for an Airbnb. This one, I'd go back.
I would definitely go back.
This is our second year doing it. I think I'm confident saying that, like, assuming schedules work out and everything else, there's a very good chance we'll be good to doing it next year.
Yep.
We'll see if we'll also be buying a Catacomb tickets for the 3rd year in a row.
Well, again, if they continue at the same convention center with their great free Wi-Fi,
yep,
I would continue to go. But yeah, this con is a lot of the stuff we like. I get that it's not the same stuff that maybe like everyone in anime right now likes, but it's what we like, which is really cool people who are really chill, around our age, a lot of different people to talk to.
Yep.
Greggo's game shows are obviously a big draw for us, so we really hope you keep him. I will say Greggo, I think, has the longest working relationship with this con, or one of the longest working relationships with this con, so I expect him back next year.
Yeah, I think he said it's pretty much guaranteed unless, like, something weird happens.
So we'll cross our fingers on that, but seeing him here, hopefully we can see him again at some other cons before then, though, because I love doing his stuff generally. But this was a really good con weekend. Like, I highly recommend it. It's great. I see the thought that's put into it. I can see people are working on behind the scenes to make it there, and I'm glad that it's been in this community for so long.
So, and again, it was nice to say. So one of the panel coordinators was actively like coming into the room and like hyping people up before panels, which was really cute.
And yeah, I really can't even think of criticisms of this con other than incredibly minor things. Like for the panel rooms, maybe put like descriptions outside of the panels because it's been unclear what panel room is which panel room and what is in what panel room.
Yeah, it was interesting that one of the things we like we didn't even say this to them.
Yeah.
On Friday was figuring out which was panel 1, 2, and 3 was a little tricky.
Yeah.
We ended up having to check the Event app to see what actual room number it was in, and then by today we noticed that it actually like slapped up just simple printed pieces of paper, sellotape to the wall that just said, this is panel room 1, this is 2, this is 3. That's all it needed to be. Like, it didn't need anything fancier than that. And like maybe a copy of the schedule of what was supposed to be in each room, just outside the room, on each day. That's something that's always useful and nice to have. It's not mandatory. It's not necessary.
And it's not really like a big deal. That was like, I think, the one thing that we thought of this weekend that they could have.
Yeah.
Other than maybe more food, but I get that it's not really within your control.
Yeah, the food is on the convention center. It's not on them. So yeah, like generally speaking, very, very good con. Like minor feedback and suggestions will be useful to have, but like that's what we got.
Yeah, and I also like that this one's a little bit less intense. We can go from like 11 to 7 some days and have a great time, which is a short amount of time to spend at a con if you're us.
Yeah.
But it's about
nuts.
Yeah. But it's great. We have fun there. Like, I think we're definitely going back next year.
Yeah.
So, unless something weird happens.
Unless something happens. Like, again, the phrase "unless something happens" is always,
implied, but this is a really good con. We highly recommend it, and if you're in the area and at all curious, you should definitely check it out.
Yep. So yeah, I think that's all we've got. So, where are we going next week?
Mystics and Marvels. It's a $5 convention that will
be out for like 2 hours. So
Yep.
Next week's probably going to be a short one, but we will probably talk. Like, we like Mystics and Marvels. It's
we
fun.
do.
We'll talk about that in
We've gone to
detail.
Mystics and Marvels, I think, 3 times already.
Yeah.
This will be our 4th time.
Yeah, it will be.
I'm also remember because we do take photos here every year, which we're not great at doing otherwise. I'll have to decide what we're wearing.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting thing. I wonder if I will once again end up wearing basically my tux. So, that was Tsubasacon, and we had a lot of fun.
We did.
So, hopefully you enjoyed listening to us. We've timed this pretty well. We're not quite to back home to town yet, but we're like 5 minutes out at most. So thank you very much for listening, and hopefully we'll see you again. And if you've enjoyed this, like, share, subscribe, do all of the YouTube pleasantries. Like tell your friends how awesome this podcast is. If it goes viral enough, maybe I can quit my job. I kid. It's never going to go that viral. But so thank you very much for listening. Do you have any final thoughts?
Thank you to all the awesome Tsubasacon staff and Greggo and all the other people who made this weekend great. I had a lot of fun. It was really nice to have this kind of fun, very low stress, honestly, weekend.
Yeah, which we need sometimes.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much for listening, and hopefully we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.